So I'm here at Lost Island Theme Park in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I don't know, where's the sign? There we go. Hang out with me while I build this Matsugani Nanocoaster and talk about Lost Island yesterday. Nanocoaster is a tiny metal model of a roller coaster. This is the only other one that I have, but I picked this one up yesterday of Matsugani. It was $35 at Lost Island. The price is not marked. The store clerk has to tell you what the price is, which is interesting. I've got my tiny side cutters available, and I am really excited to do this. Yesterday, which was August 20th, so I'm here at Lost Island Theme Park in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm really excited to check it out. There are not that many other people here, but that's okay. I wish there were more people though. So far, everything I've seen from the outside is very cute. We'll see if it's like that on the inside. That was the first time that we had been there, and it was an interesting experience. I'm gonna take these out. This is the platform that it goes into. I believe it's acetate. Okay, so a bit of a time jump here because I was just cutting out the little pieces that you need to make the Nanocoaster, and it was taking genuinely forever. Alright, so Lost Island is in Waterloo, Iowa, or Cedar Falls. They're kind of like a twin city situation, but it's not like in the city part. It is much more in the farm part. So when you arrive to the park, it's kind of like you're in the middle of nowhere, and then you see a lot of orange signs, like the temporary signs that you see for like fairs, I guess, telling you that Lost Island is coming up, and then you get there. And it's basically in the middle of a field. There's a little pond/lake right next to it. And you can see the Lost Island Water Park, which has been open for much longer and is kind of where all the money for the theme park came from, in the distance. Hi, Cat Brian. There is 0 trees in Lost Island or around Lost Island, so when you're in the park, you can see everything that's around the park the whole time. When in Disney World, they really do a good job of hiding the fact that you're in Orlando. They do not hide the fact that you are in Iowa here. I guess it's cool from the Ferris wheel, but it's not cool from like, I'm minding my business in the water realm type of thing. It's also not cool because no trees means no natural shade from trees. So the whole time that you're in basically all of the park, the sun is beating down on you. There is one big section of shade in the middle water realm. The only shade that can be found here at Lost Island Theme Park, and that is that thing. It's not particularly near any of the main attractions, and you do have to like go off of the path to get to it. So there's no shade that you get just from going from attraction to attraction, which is kind of annoying because you want to just kind of do what you're going to do during the day. You don't want to have to stop, take a break where you're just sitting because the sun is too hot. So they really got to add some shade if they want people to be able to exist at their park. I would have stayed longer than I did. We were only there for about 4.5 hours, but I couldn't because I was so hot and miserable. So it is about approximately 1:30-ish at Lost Island Theme Park. We have been here since 10:30. It is so extremely hot right now that, to be really honest, I want to leave. You know why? There's no shade. There's 0 shade at Lost Island Theme Park. This is something that I knew before coming here. However, I'm here now, and it is actually genuinely a big problem for me. A couple things to consider. The fact that it is late August right now. So, like, this was obviously very predictable. This is when I could make it, okay? I wish that I could be here longer, but I can't because it is just so hot. And I also did not bring sunglasses because I've never been a sunglasses person, but the white concrete was making everything very bright reflective, so I was squinting and I was hot and there was no shade. So that was just really tough on Lost Island Park. So if they change something, I really hope that is one of the things. So how it is set up is that there are different realms. Their realms come from an original story that they came up with. Like, the whole concept of Lost Island is original. So the original plan for Lost Island was to base it off of a real culture that existed in the world. Then they found that it was going to be kind of hard to do that without being offensive, so after a couple iterations they decided to scrap that and make it all original. So they have a whole entire original storyline of content at this park, which makes it really interesting. Like, that is an insanely interesting concept to me. You get all the lore by walking around to the different realms that are mentioned like in their story. Riding the rides, there's like little bits of lore in the queues, and they also have an app. Like everybody has an app, but their app has badges and progression, kind of like Disney Go, where the more you participate, the more you unlock, and that's how you get the whole story. So my initial plan was that I was going to get all of the lore and make a whole video explaining all of the lore. That obviously did not happen because I got really hot and I had to leave. If I go back again, I'll have a bigger hat, I'll have sunglasses, and hopefully be able to uncover all of that lore. Because there's like a lot of different stuff that you can do. Like they have treasures hidden around, which are just little icons. The app uses your location to know if you've like gotten all the treasure or not. But I did miss out on a lot of the lore from not going inside. For example, the drop tower has a lot of lore. Things like that. So you can tell that everything does have a cohesive theme. I would say the theming is kind of minimal, but not in like the not in like the Six Flags we didn't try way. Just in the way that there's like not too much theming going on. Like not more than you need. Okay, I'll say it's just not an excessive amount of theming. But it's still really pretty. The whole thing is really pretty. I wish I could have seen more of it, if I'm being honest. Honestly, I kind of did see all of it because the park, again, not very big. It's basically exactly what I would have expected from Iowa. So speaking of the park not being very big, neither are the flat rides. I would say one of the most notable things about Lost Island is that a lot of the flat rides, if they come in a mini form, that is the form that they had at Lost Island. Like, I saw the tiniest Music Express that I've ever seen in my entire life, to the point where I was like almost embarrassed to ask I was too embarrassed actually to go ride on it. It was so small. The teacups, also the smallest teacups that I've ever seen in my life. The Ferris wheel was a pretty good size. This roller coaster, Matsugani, tiny, which I think was like always a feature of it. Good size for families because it's not too intimidating and you don't have to worry about the people who say they're afraid of heights. But just everything there was mini, which was like not necessarily a plus or a drawback, but it was just something about it. Only got 2 more pieces of track left. Let's talk about some of the really good stuff. Let's start with this roller coaster. Super cute. It did really beat me up somehow. I do not know how I had such a rough experience on this ride. But after the launch, I had my hands back during the launch because that's responsible. Actually, I'm not going to talk about this roller coaster. The launch only goes to like 40 something miles per hour, but it was still like enough to make me go, ah, you know. It did beat me up. I have bruises from my shoulders because after the launch and going over the top hat, I put my hands up and I somehow managed to like get hurt on it. It was very weird. I will talk about Nopuko the air coaster, or Nopuko air coaster, because that was awful. I have somehow managed to, in my 88 credits that I had before visiting this park, I had somehow managed to not have ridden any Vekoma SLC before. I don't know how I did it, but I now know for sure that I'm not missing anything, because that was just the worst roller coaster I have ever been on in my entire life. It somehow managed to not be headbangy, but it did manage to bang my like chest and back to a point where I got nauseous from that motion, which is kind of impressive. After we rode the Ferris wheel, we made the mistake of riding the air coaster. That was so awful. I've never ridden a worse roller coaster in my entire life. It didn't hurt me, it didn't bang my head, but it made me so nauseous because it was so bumpy and rough, and it would like do big hits and stuff, and it knocked the air out of my lungs. What is up with that? I hated that so much. I'd say the roller coaster I've been on, I genuinely did not like. We had to take a break after that. I do think that roller coaster also had an effect on how long I was at the park, because if it hadn't made me feel so sick after I was already feeling so sick from the heat, I may have been able to hang out a little bit longer. It looks really cute and really nice and really pretty where it is in the park, but the fact that it was so ridiculously bumpy made me feel like I wish it wasn't even at the park. Like, I think that it's doing the park a disservice by existing. Honestly, God, I hated it so much. Okay, I was supposed to be talking about good things. The obvious good part of Lost Island is Volcano. It is an award-winning dark ride, and you can tell why. It is trackless, which is really cool. Normally, Well, I wouldn't even say normally, but I haven't seen that anywhere other than Disney, so it was cool for that experience to be available here. They had a really cool animatronic. So the animatronic is in the queue, but it is placed in a way that you can see, or you can use it as a Pepper's ghost during the ride, which was just an insanely clever use of resources. I personally don't really love shooting dark rides, so it's not like one of my favorite dark rides ever or anything. I really don't want to play a game. I just want to have an experience. But the mechanical system was good. No, I guess it was one of the better shooters that I've been on. They definitely tell you what to do. That's a lot of people's complaints for most rides, is that you don't really know what you're supposed to be shooting at. That wasn't a problem here. You could tell where you're supposed to be shooting because there was a pre-show movie in the queue, I guess. We didn't really wait in line, so I don't know if I would call it a queue, but while you're walking up to the ride, there's a little video that explains exactly what is going on and the story and how Vulcan is trying to wreck the islands and you gotta save the islands, and that's the whole thing. So that was really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it, A+. I did record a POV of that one because it's easy to. And yeah. So another thing that I'm not sure that I have mentioned yet is that the turnout was truly abysmal. I knew that the park was in trouble financially, and that's why I made a point to go, because I want to help. I support theme parks. I wish there were more theme parks, so I'm gonna go to a theme park like this. But we arrived right as the park opened, which is obviously unnecessary for a place that is so smart. I'm having a real issue with that little bit right there. So you really did not need to arrive that early. However, I did, because I wanted to make sure I got the most out of the experience. And remember, my plan was to spend as much time as necessary collecting all of the lore. So we showed up and there were less than 20 other cars there, which again, I was like, okay, I know that it's rough. I know things are not going well, but it was just so small. The thing is, it didn't really get exponentially more people throughout the day. It definitely got more than when we arrived, so there is that. But it wasn't like a lot more. It was actually, to be really honest, it was so few people that I was a little bit embarrassed to be there. I was like, what am I doing here? Nobody else is here. This does not seem like a place to be. And it's a little sad. Honestly, I'm feeling a little secondhand embarrassed. Because it's really cute. It's just so hot and there's no shade. I'm gonna keep saying that because it's literally so important. That was really sad. So if you have the opportunity to go to Lost Island, I highly recommend it. I would recommend skipping the Napuko air coaster unless you really want to say you did it, because it was just so bad. But look at me, I'm finishing my Nanocoaster. I got the Masagani sign ready. I can actually make that more level. Yeah. But if you get the opportunity to go there, please do. They are selling season passes for next year. I don't know that that means that they will be open next year. Obviously, I hope that it does. I think that they should get one more shot before they give up, you know? Overall, it is a great park and great thing to be in Iowa. I don't know that it's travelable. I don't think that Napuko being their second coaster makes their coaster collection particularly re-rideable. The characters in the lore are awesome. The design is awesome. All of their signs are custom. Like, they did a lot right at the park. It's just not in a good spot. And they made some fatal errors. Mostly in Witch Coaster and the lack of shade, you know? But I'm really hoping that they can pull through at least for a little bit, because I had a good time. I'm looking forward to going back when I'm more prepared to deal with the shortcomings of the park, with the shade. Mostly just the shade, but I hope that more people get to experience it also. I think I mentioned everything that I need to here. I'll make better videos. This was just kind of me rambling, but here is my Matsugani Nanocoaster, and I really did enjoy my time at Lost Island this past weekend. Support them if you can, and maybe we'll get some exciting stuff next year. Thanks. Bye.